Oh my God, the world is ending. It just it's falling right now. Crypto is never going to be the same. Says everybody who just doesn't take time to do some technical analysis. What's up, everybody? It is your man Ted here with some bodies and wicks, and I see the Twitter world is going crazy over crypto, thinking that the world is over and that we're never going to see the prices that we've ever seen. It's done. Like 2021 was the only year we're ever going to see these prices, and we're done. We're going back down. It's like it was 4 years ago. Oh man. Well, I hate to break it to people, but there's so much invested interest, especially when it comes to large entities like, I don't know, Facebook, you know, was it MicroStrategy, Tesla. Um, there's a lot of people that have their hands in the crypto bucket right now that it's not going to go back down like it did. Yeah, there's going to be times where we're going to have sell-offs, and that's what smart money does. And if you don't know what smart money is, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you about smart money, and it's about the people who do this, right? They do this on purpose. They do this to scare you. They do this to make you sell when you should be devising a plan to buy, right? Because right now what's happening is what we see all over the place is known as the market maker buy sell model. All right. And I'll be showing you that in just a second. And if you have seen my work before, if you haven't, and you want to know more about smart money, what I'd like you to do me a huge favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button. That would mean a lot to me, or the rebel button, whichever one you're watching me on. That would be awesome. And then you could hit the alert bell too, when you know when my shows come on, and you get to learn some stuff. But right now, what I have done is I did make some calls, and so I wanted to show you those. All right, so Binance made a little bit of a call there. I know it's gonna go fast, so I'll probably have to watch these a couple times through. So then my Nvidia stays up here for a while, but I know my Binance is it's a little bit up right now. Oh, maybe it'll play through. I'm not for sure. Maybe I have to. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, well, I'll just tell you about them since it's not gonna really let you see them. But I'll just go back. I thought I did it slower than I actually did, but I didn't. But my Binance call was my entry price was 428. My take profit was 502. And my stop loss was about 400. Polkadot entry price was 23.90. Take profit 25.40. Stop loss 22.90. And Bitcoin, my entry price was 40,850. Stop loss was about 39,400, and take profit was 44,300. So about a gain of 8%, but not much of a loss on that one. And I'm gonna go show you why. So let's head on over to the charts. And when I said something about the market maker buy or sell model, this is what I was talking about. This is pretty much what the markets are doing right now, right? They go up, and then they go back down lower to where they were before, and this is what the markets try to do. They basically make money on uh, on their short calls. But how they make money on their short calls is they drive it up high first, and then they make it short. And they make it shorter than what it was before, and that's how they make their money on their short sales. So, um, let's go ahead and go to Binance. And like I said, my call on that one was the opening price was 428.80, and the stop loss was around 400. So, as you can see, let's see here, what is the low? What is the low? It's not showing the low. The low is 403, so I have not hit my stop loss yet. And the reason I called that was because down here, especially, I'm on the daily. So if we got done in the 15-minute, and we went all the way over here, the reason I called that as the low is because there was something particular over there that I just didn't think it would get below. Oh yeah, that was the last order block. That's what it was. The last, very, very last order block that could possibly, it could hit. I didn't think it would hit it. And so, I mean, and plus you have a whole another order block just above that on the 15-minute chart that actually starts right around here at 402. So I thought, if anything, it would at least get down. I mean, the lowest I thought it would get would be to 402. Hasn't even gotten onto there yet. I thought it would enter probably somewhere around here, maybe stop somewhere around here in the middle. And then if we got lucky, it would get down to the bottom of this green chart. Why is this whole area green? It's because that is a fair value gap. If we come over here and look, I think it's on the hour, I believe. Maybe even the 4 hour. I am not for sure exactly which one I put this on to get that fair value gap. I think it is on the 4 hour. So I like to go with the larger time frame first. Yep, it is the 4 hour. So the 4 hour fair value gap actually should have been more like this, a little bit larger. But then we also have the breaker, which is the other green line going right through the middle. So we have a low, high, low situation, and that last high green candle is the breaker. I thought it would stop there and actually shoot above, but as you can see, even on the 4 hour, look, the body respected it on the 4 hour. Now it's coming back down into it, and what I'm thinking is it might get about halfway through and then pull back up. It could get down to the bottom of the breaker and then pull back up. That's neither here nor there. But this long that streak down right here, that's called a liquidity run. And what it's trying to do is anybody that was trying to go long in through this area, it was trying to take them out. That's all it was trying to do. It was trying to take anybody that was trying to go long in that area to try to take him out. There is a possibility it still could go lower. I'm not gonna lie. It still could try to get below this area right here, but I do not think so. And why I don't think so is because if you look at the MarketMaker buy sell model, you have a big box right here where a consolidation has already happened. I don't think it's going to be consolidating in that same area again. If anything, it could probably pull below here and then maybe consolidate down here. That's a possibility, but I highly, highly doubt it. But then again, I'm not Nostradamus. I don't really know. I did pull the Fibonacci. It's not all the way down below the 100% just yet. But if I was to call anything, I would say, I said yesterday, this is probably the area that it would go into. And sure enough, this is the area it did go into. And now I'm hoping for it to come back up and come back to this area here, this green area right there. Why that green area? Well, because that is a fair value gap, I believe, on the hourly. So if we're looking at something on a 4 hour, like we are currently, this is the 4 hour fair value gap, the 4 hour can't think of the word, breaker, then when you want to go back the other way, you want to look at a smaller time frame, right? So you want to look at the hourly, right? So when it comes back up, you want to see what's happening with the hourly, And as you can see, right on that 62%, it hit it, and drove down below it, came back up, hit it again, and then it dropped. Okay, so we're hoping that, and look, you can already see that there was some pullback on that 1 hour, driving down a little bit, but it's not closing below it, or it hasn't closed below it yet. So, even though, you know, even though this didn't drive up really high to close, up above anything, that's why I think we might be going sideways for a little bit. This is the perfect area for it to go sideways because it is in that fair value gap. It did complete the fair value gap. It completely filled it in. And the lowest that it got there was 407. Like I said, my stop loss was 400, which is even below that. So my stop loss is right around here, right around the 79% level. What I don't even think it's going to get below that. So that's Binance. Let's take a look at Dot. Dot had a little bit of a dive too. See here, my entry was 23.90 and my stop loss was 22.90. So I only had $1 from the stop loss to my, and the reason was because of this right here, right? So right now I'm on the 1 hour. I think I was on the daily whenever I did this. I think it is going to drop below here, but I don't think it's going to drop below here much. I don't think here's another liquidity point that it could try to drop below, right? People could see this as a a support level. It could drop below there and try to stop here. I don't think it would stop there. If it was going to get that low, it would drop even lower. But if we're looking at the Williams percentage on the daily, I mean, it's super oversold on the Williams percentage. This is the indicator I like to use for oversold and overbought versus the RSI. It's more, it gives a better volatility chance more than the RSI does. So that's why I like it better. So I do think, if anything, it could still drop below here. Maybe not much lower, but it could drop below here just to take out anybody who is buying right now and seeing this as a support level. I think they're only like 10 cents off as the low. So the low here is 23.12. And the low here is 23.13. Sorry, 1 cent off. It's only 1 cent off. So I could see this dropping, maybe to about, let's hope not any further than 22.90. That's where my stop loss is. But the reason I put around 22.90 was because of this red candle here, to be honest. This red candle right here. Its low is right here. It has another candle that drops below that. That is what we would call a redeliver rebalance. So usually it stays within that, that wick right there. It doesn't go below that because it's already been there. Even though this liquidity, this is basically, honestly, this is something to be ignored because of how much of liquidity run it did have. But it came all the way back down, hit here, which is also part of the order block, the last down candle before the up candle that took off. Same thing with here. This is the last down candle before the up candle that took off. That's why I don't think it'll get below this here. And that's why I made that. I mean, and that's basically at $23 almost even. So that's why I put 22.90 as my stop loss, because if anything, I think it could dip down below here, but not much further, but just enough to take out people who were thinking that this is going to be like right on, their stop loss level. All right. So Solana, I'm going to try to get through it, the main ones, as quick as possible, the ones I've been going through the last couple days. I didn't think I even put anything in Solana. I didn't, because I wasn't really for sure how this one was going to play out. But I'm going to check it out on the daily right now. See what it looks like. Okay, so right now, if on the 4 hour, I think it was the 4 hour I was looking at, this this gold line I have is a sell side liquidity spot on a low. Yep. It's a sell side liquidity spot on a low, but also we get in closer and take a look at the red candle there. It goes about halfway through, which is part of the order block. So order block, order block, order block. They're all coming down, hitting these order blocks, order blocks, order blocks. And so this is one of the first ones that it hits after it gets below this sell side liquidity point. And this sell side liquidity point doesn't even hit, well, I mean, it kind of hits an order block. It hits the top of this one. It doesn't get to the bottom of this one. So that's why I thought it could get to the bottom of this one, and that would probably be its last one before anything else. So I think with Solana, we are at its bottom. I think, it's hit 2 sell side liquidity points. And this is the start of the week here. You got to think about it in terms of the week as well. So you had the beginning of the week, and you had like a little bit of hope, and then the rest of the week it just dropped, and you had a little bit of hope, then you had boom, it dropped, then you had a little bit of hope, and then it dropped again. So we could be looking at one more of those, and if that's the possibility, we could be looking at it coming down into this area right here, which is in between 116 and 124. And the reason I say that is because that's the last 2 liquidity points. Let me see here, right there. Maybe 125, 116 and 125. I mean, they're both dead even, right on 116 and 125. And I did not mean to move that start of the week. Let's move that back to where it should be. There we go. And also, this is again on the daily at the very bottom. It is oversold as crap. So I seriously don't see this doing, unless, you did see it kind of make a little bit of a rise up and then fall, but it still didn't get any further down lower than what it did on the indicator. Maybe just a little bit lower than what it did on the indicator. Let me see what the low here is. Low here is 133 even. Low here is 133.31. So it did make a little bit lower of a low. So it took out some more sell side liquidity. If anybody was putting that as their buy limit or their sell stop, what just happened? I have no idea. Oh, it took it to auto for some reason. But I really don't see it getting much lower than that. If it does, it could get down again. Maybe to this point, to this 128, 16 level, 125 level. But I think this is the last one that we're gonna see. I really don't see it dropping any further, but it's totally possible, and if it is, these are the areas, and they're gonna go below them. You got to think they're going to go below them because people think that these are areas of support. So people think the areas of support, smart money knows that, and they're going to go below them to take out the people that think they're areas of support, and they probably have a short stop loss. So, and that's why it's already dropped below this one right here, right? And there is this one right here too. I guess I could draw that line as well. Which is the current order block that we're on now. So if anything, I could, but I just don't think it will. I don't know, but I could be completely wrong. We'll see. All right, MATIC. I made my call on MATIC, and I failed. I failed tremendously because MATIC did do a deeper dive than what I thought it would. But Here it is. So I'm on the daily, and if we can get in close, we can see where I made my. This is where I thought it would drop to, because I thought there is a breaker in here once we get into like the 4 hour, 1 hour, whatever. Yeah, there's the breaker. Actually, it's not even, well, it's kind of a breaker because there is a low. I mean, you could consider this a low, high, lower low situation, but a lot of people like to take the whole wave of this. In that case, then this would just be a mitigation block, in which whenever it came up into this, it already mitigated, which allowed it to push further down. So, yeah, I can see why this would be considered a mitigation block rather than a breaker. So, I will have to do my due diligence and rename this. It is no longer a breaker, unfortunately. It is what we call a mitigation block. Not breaker, mitigation. They can't be the same thing. Jesus. Where? Sorry if anybody has seen a certain movie, you understood that. Okay. All right. So, and here were my entries. Luckily, I did some scalping on the way up after it did hit the fourth entry, because I was loaded up on entries, and I was also loaded up on my leverage. So my leverage was really high, so which brought my entry really, really low. So once it's skyrocketed up back to, what it looks like the entry here, the entry was actually almost down to entry 3, and I was at about 15 leverage. 15 or 20, I can't remember, I don't know, but I ended up taking profits there, and quite a bit of profit actually. And whenever it came down and hit my stop loss, I only lost, I don't know, it wasn't much, it was only a few bucks. So I'm glad I took my profits when I did, and I just kind of held on to it, hoping it wouldn't get below here. But evidently, this was not the mark that I should have been watching for. I did make double lows here, so this is where I should have been watching, to be honest. And this is where I still should be watching. So maybe MATIC, I'm not for sure if it's going to get any lower or not. On the 4 hour, let me see here. If we do a horizontal ray, here's the last. I mean, we have 2 of these here. Right there and right there. I'm going to get rid of these green guys here, because evidently they do not mean anything anymore. None of this means anything anymore, so I'm going to get rid of at least that too. I don't know what that was, but whatever. But here are order blocks. These are the order blocks. So it does jump down into this order block, this last down, red candle before this green candle comes up and closes above it. And the whole, and then that's the reason I thought this was the last down area that I should be looking for, because this right here, before it goes all the way up and closes here above this guy. So that's why I was looking at this as being probably one of the lowest parts, but it looks like we are looking at this guy right here, and that's probably right above my head or at my head, and I can't tell. So yeah, this guy right here. So if anything, it looks like probably somewhere around 187, 186 could be the lowest. Or let me throw one at the bottom here, about 179. I would think if this thing is going to pull up and try to do something like, and I don't know, well, this thing is running right through this spike down is running right through the 4 hour of it. But I'm sure if we get down to the 15-minute, it doesn't run right through it. It does not. So it hits it, it pulls back, and then it also starts, and then it goes back up, and then it pulls down through. So it looks like the price action to where this low was did not create any sort of, breaker. Because breakers can happen the opposite way too as well, because we could have a high, low, lower high situation, in which this would become a breaker, but it doesn't look like that is the case. Looks like I accidentally moved that, but it looks like MATIC could be. I mean, it is consolidating right now, and what I would like for it to, or I would like for it to get above would be these equal highs right here, right around 214, right? And if it can get above that and close above that, that would give me some positive signs, because that is where the liquidity is, right? So the liquidity is all up in this, all up in here, all up in this area. That is where the liquidity is. So let me style it a little bit. Let me gold it out. Like gold chains. Get some gold chains. There we go. Okay. All the liquidity is up in this area right here, because everybody would think as soon as it gets to this area, it would probably fall, and it probably will. It'll probably come up here, probably hit a bearish order block. One of these guys here, right? Probably hit one of those, maybe jump up into it a little bit, and then make a little bit of a fall, but then come right back up, and then hopefully get back up in here, and then maybe hit this guy right here, and then jump up into here, fall a little bit, come back down, touch the top of this, probably fill this area, and then hopefully get higher than that. So I would say watch out for this area, and that area is in between. Let me give you some numbers here. As you can see, especially, I'm on the 15-minute, and the Williams percentage is about halfway up right now. So that's good, because if I went to the hour, we will have what is called a fair value gap, from here to here, right? So there's one fair value gap, and there's also another smaller one just below that, from here to here. So you could almost put them together, to be honest, just because they're that close, and it was all falling in succession. But if this high, let me see if this high is higher than this guy. I think it is. What's the high here? High here is 207.48. What's the high here? 207.38. Okay. So we do have a redeliver rebalance sitting right here. There's a redeliver rebalance. So what that means is that the price is more than likely going to come up and try to get in this area right here, right? I'm going to make another fair value gap right here. Even though it's a smaller one, I think that's where it's going to try to go to. It may take some time. As you can see, it looks like it's trying to make its way up, which is good. But I think it's going to have some trouble once it hits here. It'll probably fall back, try to run through, fall back, try to run through, especially with these guys right here. Anything that's poking down is going to try to give us some trouble trying to come back up. That's for sure. So Could be, who knows, it could come up here, hit this, consolidate for a little bit, come back up here, consolidate for a little bit, and then finally try to come back up to this area. But I do think this right here, this redeliver rebalance, because this spike did get higher than the previous one, this is where it will try to run to. That is just part of knowing the algorithm and knowing what smart money is trying to do to it. All right. I don't think I had mana on here, so I'm not really going to go too much into mana. It just looks like it's sideways, falling a little bit. I mean, the almost all the NFT kind of coins are about doing about the exact same. They're not really falling, but they're not really going up high either. But Ethereum was one of the ones that I remember talking about yesterday. And since we are on the daily, I did say it probably would fall into this area, and it did. It fell exactly into that area that I talked about yesterday, and it looks like it has filled it up completely. And I thought I made a call on this at some point, but I don't think I did. Oh, you know what? I think I did, and for some reason it hit the stop loss, 34,600. No, there's no way. That was a long time ago. Okay, I know I did not make one on Ethereum yesterday. But I remember talking about it yesterday in my video. And the reason being that area has to do with this daily fair value gap. So it did fill the daily fair value gap completely. Also, within the daily fair value gap, you do have the, if we put it on the body, you do have the body of the bullish order block. There is also a bullish order block down here where this golden one is. That's the last one. That's why I have that one listed as in gold. So it still could get down to that area right there, which is 2967. But why I have all these little green ones in here is I think those are all, if you get into the 1 hour, I have it 1 hour and 4 hour. These are all a bunch of little order blocks in here as well, which is the last. Yep. See all these little red candles, and the green candles. So that would be the last red candles going down before the green candles go above and close above it. And that area is just basically right along this area right here. So I knew it could probably get down to this area and then probably get stopped and consolidate, just because that's where the primary or most of the order blocks are within that 1 hour time frame. Now it could get below here, because that is a sell side liquidity area. So I'm going to throw this here, and I'm going to make this a red one. All right, and that price is $29.41, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, $29.41. So it could get below $29.41, and then it could get somewhere around $28.72, and because that is probably the last of the red candles. Last of the falling red candles before the green candles pick back up, and then they get above that area, right? They get above that liquidity mark that it had previously, right? The buy side liquidity, and then it settles in that area, just like it would if you were looking at something like this, right? That's what it does here. So imagine that as a block, imagine this as a block, and then it jumps up. And imagine all this as a block. So then it leaves all of this open. So what is it going to do? It's probably going to make this whole green area as a block. And so, oops, didn't mean to move the green area. That's not what I intended for. But if I go to 4 hour, maybe I can get a little bit closer and make it quicker. There we go. As you can see, it did drop and just start over right at 2 o'clock. It is 2:41 p.m. right now. So it has had 41 minutes to make its trek back up. And I don't think I don't think anything like this is gonna stop it, prevent it from falling back down. You could possibly have this little dummy right here try to do that to it, but let's take a look at the 15-minute and let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I don't think so, because it looks like it's already come back up into it. It has closed up the fair value gap. So, and then all it did was just drop a little bit more. Does create a little bit of sell side liquidity right through in here. So there is a possibility that it could actually drop back down to this little golden guy here around 29.67. Not sure how much of a possibility, but there is that possibility, because there is, there is some fair value gaps up in here. Here's one itself on the 15-minute that I think it's gonna try to reach for. So I think it'll try to reach for this guy. But you can see there is equal highs, right around through here, right around where I put this breaker is. So I think this is more than likely the spot it is going to try to go to, is basically 3,300. I think it's going to try to rise and get to at least to 3,300. Okay. Now, as you can see, even on the 15-minute, it is very, very not very, very oversold, but it's pretty much oversold. So, and even with the average true range, looking like it is picking up at about $33.90. Who knows? With every 15 minutes, if we see this thing rise about $33, couldn't be but a couple hours before we see it hit 3,300. So that is Ethereum. Let's head on over to Bitcoin. Let's see what we got going on over here. Bitcoin, like I said, my insight on Bitcoin was entry was 40,850, and stop loss is 40,400, and $40,850. Man, I had where was that? 40, right there. I was barely just nailed that entry price. And then I put the stop loss as 40,400. Is that what it was? Yeah, 40,400. So 40,400. Jeez. I gave it basically no room. I was like, it's going to enter here. It's probably not going to get any lower than here. And so far, I have been right. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back on that one. And I'm saying it's going to take profit at 44,300. Why 44,300? Because I believe that is the top or maybe the middle of, it looks like it's right around in here. So it has to do with this hourly breaker, and I think I'm calling it short of getting about halfway through. So generally I'll probably get about halfway through, so it actually probably get to about 44,500. But just to be safe, I'm calling 44,300. Just to make sure, I get my take profit taken care of before it gets there. But I think Bitcoin is probably, there. I don't think it's going to get below this guy right here. Why? Because that's the low of September. If I'm not mistaken, yes, that is the low of September. I do not think we are going to be hitting the lower than the low of September on Bitcoin. Right now, on the daily, we are extremely low. And even on the low here, we weren't even that low. So, as far as the Williams percentage R is concerned, as far as the average true range is concerned, here we were hitting about 2,500 a day. Here we're hitting about 2,300 a day. So, I think that means it's slowing down, and it's finally starting to turn around and go that way, is what these two indicators are telling me. And if we go to the 4 hour, I think the 4 hour would probably give us a good indication. Yep. So we did dip down below here. Looks like the 4 hour did pull up. Looks like it hit. No, maybe not. Not just yet. It looks like it still has some more room to try to get up before it gets to the bodies of these lower candles here. Because that's what I would be looking for. It'd be the bodies of those candles to try to stop it. So it'd be that area right there. And it hasn't even gotten to there yet. So I think it's just playing games right now before it gets up even higher. And then once it hits that, then we might see a little bit of a pullback before it starts to pull up on through. Looks like it has closed up a fair value gap, but not the 4 hour one. Here's the 4 hour fair value gap. Looks like it closed up the hourly. Here's the 4 hour, so we still have time for it to try to fill up the 4 hour fair value gap. And 44,300 would be right in this area here. Yeah, so it would probably try, what I'm saying is that it would probably try to fill, especially on this, is the 4 hour fair value gap. It would probably try to close that up. Because right there is the top of it. Well, yeah. So I'm giving a little bit of a room to try to close that up. Is what I'm trying to do. But that's it. That's what I got for you guys. So I'm thinking we're at the bottom of a lot of different things. Is what I'm thinking. So I hope you guys think that too. Hope you guys don't think that we're over. The end is nigh, and all that good stuff. Because that's all I'm seeing on Twitter is everybody's got this horrible outlook, and all I do is tell people, hey, have you ever seen this before? Because that's what this looks like. That's what everything looks like right now. Everything looks like the market maker buy or sell model, and we are on the sell model, meaning we are trying to get below earlier areas, to try to make a profit from where people are actually holding sells from these areas. You know what I'm saying? So, and when I say holding sells, I mean, if we look at Bitcoin here, whoever was holding a sell, in one of these areas, and it gets lower than that, they have made money. And that's all it is. I don't think anybody's actually holding a sell from here. This would be retail. This would be retail chasing after the sell. That's why I don't think it's going to get down that low. It's whenever it dropped and all of a sudden retail started selling with it. That's retail selling with it. And then all of a sudden the smart money started buying from these points, and then it pulled up, right? So I don't think it's going to get down below in this area here. This right here seems to me like it was planned. That's why it dipped below it. And now I think from that point on, we're going to see the rising above it. If it does, it could get about halfway through. And just because I don't see, maybe getting a little bit below, it's going to make a huge difference. But about halfway through could really throw some people off and put some people in some stop loss areas. And so watch out for about 40,160, somewhere around in there for it to stop. But I don't think we're going to get down to 39,600. I really don't. But if we do, that would probably be the lowest it would go, 39,500, something like that. All right. So that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, do that one thing again for me, and like me, subscribe me, and subscribe me. Yes, just go ahead and subscribe me, all of you, and you guys as much good information as I can. Love you guys, and remember, keep your pants on. That's all you got to do is just go ahead and just continue to keep your pants on. All right, and then